All right, I'm Jordan Robinson. Today we're going to talk a little bit about a long-run equilibrium with in a perfectly competitive firm. So here we have our market, right? Supply and demand pick an equilibrium price. And so whenever we do long-run, short-run analysis with perfectly competitive firms, I find it best to draw these two graphs side by side, the graph of the market and the graph of the individual firm. So supply and demand in the market pick the price. So this equilibrium price, and we can draw a line straight across until we have our graph of the firm. So this price that was picked in the market is the marginal revenue curve for the firm, or what that firm receives. So in this case, we have a firm that's in a long-run equilibrium. Now, how do we know that? We know that because in a long-run equilibrium, economic profits equals zero, right? And so in this case, marginal revenue, or price, and average total cost are equal at this profit maximizing level. So at this level, where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, this firm is going to produce. And so at that profit maximizing level, we'll call it Q1, price equals average total cost. So there's zero economic profits, right? But now, let's see what happens if there is a change in demand in the market. So let's say, for example, there's a negative demand shock, right? There's some new news story about that this good has terrible health side effects. So demand drastically decreases. So we draw that with a shift to the left of demand. And so now, with this new demand, there's a lower equilibrium price. And so we draw this price and we go over to the market. And we draw this straight across. So now, there's a new profit maximizing level. Because the marginal revenue or the price has decreased for this firm is now only going to produce this much. And so as such, this firm is now incurring a loss, right? Because this is the profit maximizing level where marginal revenue equals marginal cost, but we go up to the average total cost curve and across. So this region right here represents the firm's losses. So this firm is losing money, right? So we see that this here is equilibrium, but we call this a short-run equilibrium because firms in this market are losing money. So this can't be a long-run equilibrium. So what is going to have to happen to restore this long-run equilibrium is there's going to have to be a change in supply. So if all these firms are losing money, firms are going to exit the market, right? And so if firms exit the market, what's that going to do to our supply curve here in this market is it's going to decrease supply. So if we draw a decrease in supply, then we'll get back to this point here. And so now there's a new equilibrium price, which if we draw straight across, becomes that original marginal revenue curve. And so it restores and it changes this market. So it shifts this marginal revenue curve up back to the original. And so we get back to this profit maximizing level for the individual firm and zero economic profit. So this represents a long-run equilibrium. So we notice, if we look at the market is now producing less quantity. So this is the market's new quantity. This was the market's old quantity. And so the market as a whole produces less, but the market price is the same as it used to be. And each individual firm is now producing the same amount as it always was, but because there's less firms, that's what allowed this market quantity to decrease. And so that's important to remember, that when there's a change in the price, so it affects firms and it makes firms either profitable or unprofitable, there's going to be a change in supply, right? If there's profits to be had, firms will enter the market, and it'll be the opposite of what we just drew here, which will decrease the price until it gets back to equilibrium. Or, like we drew here, if firms are making losses, firms will exit the market, which will decrease supply, which will increase the price to get it back to equilibrium. So either way, the only way to have a long-run equilibrium is to have zero economic profits. All right.
That's good.
I think that's good for